Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I really want to go into feuding. I kind of want to bring it to everyone's attention just how feud lineups go and the perk system and everything like that. So essentially we're going to start off with the feud lineup that I've chosen to start with. So during the feuds you have your month or your weekend event, which is an individual. You have your faction event, which is clearly faction, and you have your war score that helps the faction. You can do a majority of factions like to chase the leaderboard rewards. It's usually the same top 3, but top 10, top 20 are usually fought over pretty hard. The beginning of the month, there's always one feud that goes for 20 hours. And at the end of the month, there's a flash feud, which is 4 individual feuds at 6 hours apiece. I think one of them's only 4 hours, maybe 5 hours, something like that. I think it goes 6, 5, 8, and then 6 again on hours. It varies a lot of the time, so you can never really lock it down. But when you're going into it, if you're going into a 20-hour one and your time is limited, my highest suggestion for you, especially if your team, your faction, is aiming for top 20, top 10, is to get your war score done first. The reason for getting the war score done first is at 35 million is the cap of your faction event resources, your tokens, your points, whatever you want to call them. That's where you're benefiting the faction, is getting to 35 million. If you want to get to 35 million and stop and just work on your bonuses, go for it. But at least get up to 35 million first and foremost. 1, that war score is going to help your faction. 2, is going to help your individual event. 3, you have met your requirements for your faction. You can go into your bonuses after that. Now, a lot of people like to go with the weakest lineup they can go with because their requirements are not fully leveled. To me, that is the wrong way of doing it. You're only hurting yourself and you're only hurting your progression, your speed. Faction feuds are always about speed. You have 30 minutes on the clock to get your fights finished, whether they range from 2 fights to 9 fights. The cap is 9 cards can be put into the lineup if you have them. This current faction feud is a little bit requirement heavy, strictly because of this guy here. I think his name was Rosie, and then Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner. Say that 5 times fast. If you are going in with your weakest lineup, because say you only have 5 of the requirements and all of them are 5-star gold and below, that's not going to help you. You're going into a fight hoping that the opponent's going to have the same amount. These are 5 fights apiece, okay? You're not going to get every single lineup being the exact same where you can just go 5 for 5 for 5 for 5. You're hurting yourself doing that, and I cannot stress that enough. So ultimately what you want to do is you want to go in with your best lineup possible. Luckily, Powerhouse Sammy, for me, is one of the requirements, so he was going to be there one way or another. He's just getting double dipped right now. But I'm going with 3 cards that I normally wouldn't put in this lineup. 3 cards that are only for the bonuses. These are for if I run into somebody who's doing the exact same thing as I am. Having 4 6-star bronzes and a few of the fodders for their bonuses. Most of the time this works because people who have Big Papa Pump, they don't have the resources. They're not going to take him all the way up to 6-star bronze. They're going to have him at cap of wherever they pulled him at. So whether it's 4-star bronze, 5-star bronze, 5-star gold, whatever, they're still going to have him up to that cap because all they're really doing is they're just putting the resources into him to be able to get his bonuses. That's it. Now, if they have the resources to take him 6-star bronze, at least you have your aces here to take him out. But basically, it's a balance. You know for a fact the faction fight or a faction feud that you're going into is going to take roughly 6 hours of your life. Whether it's 3 hours tonight and 3 hours in the morning, 6 hours tonight, however long, it's going to take hours. It's not just a half-hour long event where you're going to get it all done in one shot. So you need to balance it out. My balance comes in the form of Showboat Seamus, who is a 6-star bronze fighter, but a 5-star gold and below sweeper. Tech Sammy, who is a 6-star bronze destroyer. Powerhouse Sammy, who is a 6-star bronze destroyer. Trick Ray, who is 5-star gold and below destroyer, but an amazing defensive wall, and then my bonuses. So when I go into a fight, what I'm going to be looking at first and foremost is their lower cards. Am I going to be able to knock out my powerhouse or my trickster Hogan? The reason I say am I going to be able to knock him out is if they have three cards at 5-star silver or below, and no belts attached. They're just there to do their own requirements, and they haven't built them up. Can I knock out 3 out of the 5 quickly? So I'm going to do that because he is my weakest. My second weakest is Memrock. My third weakest is Showboat Luger, and we're back to the regular lineup. So you want to balance it out, and I'll include a video about, or I'll not include, I will do a video on how to properly, how I feud. I shouldn't say properly. Everyone feuds differently. There is no set way to feud. There's better ways to feud. There's efficient ways to feud, but there's no real proper way to actually feud. So I'll put up a second video about me feuding and just showing you what kind of rotation I go with. So the reason why I chose the cards that I chose is 1, because of requirements, 2, it's because of power, and 3, it's for trainer conflicts. The way I look at trainer conflicts is A, B, C, and D. A, if there's one card that has, start this over. A, does my MP trainers have an affiliate? Do my MP trainers have an affiliate belt? If they do, that opens it up for 2 cards. B, promoters. I know I have Tech, Trick, and Showboat. 3rd, lineup. 4th, effectiveness. There we go. Words. They're hard nowadays. So I went with Tech Sammy because he is always one of my mains, and he has a promoter. He's in this line because there is no line bonus. I don't get the 20%. So my promoter is going to play a dividend when it comes to his points. Same thing with Sheamus, same thing with Trick Ray. All of these are solely based off the promoter. Trick Ray is here because 1, that's where the requirement slot hits, but 2, promoter. And that's where that ends. There is no need to go further. So the way I always look at any sort of feud is going as fast as humanly possible. Knockout, knockout, potential knockout, defense. So if I go into a fight like this, and my opponent has 5 6-star bronzes, and I cannot do my bonuses, I'm not going to throw my 5-star gold Luger at any of the 6-star bronzes. 1, I know he's going to die. 2, if he doesn't die, the fight's going to last about 8 to 9 minutes, and that just does not need to be going that way. The reason I say it's going to last that long is because of his submission and the fact that I'm going to have to go through multiple cycles to try and get that submission off every single time. It's no point. If I go in and there's 5 6-star bronzes, I know I'm going to get at least 2 fights off of Powerhouse Sammy for requirements, 2 fights off of I'll get 2 fights for requirement for Powerhouse Sammy, and then 1 for each of my promoters. That's just how that goes. You're going to match up with people who have very weird setups. You're going to match up with people who ultimately just went in not giving a crap. There are some people who hit the autofill button and just go in and balls deep with whatever they have with the autofill button. There are other people who overanalyze their rosters like I do. So basically where all of this is going to in this long-winded explanation is when you're going into the faction feud, when you're going into your fight, look at your weakest card. Is your weakest card a requirement? Awesome. If it is, look at their weakest cards. Can you fight it? Can your card win within 2 minutes of the fight? If it can, use it. Go for it. Get that bonus. If it can't, go on to your second weakest. Can that one do it? If it can't, can your third do it? If none of those can, go with your strongest one, sweep the board, move on to your next fight. You have your first fight win is increased by, or the points for it are increased by 300,000, I believe. I'll know later on when the feud starts and they retell me the line, or show me all the point systems. So ultimately, you know that you're going to need to get one win off of each of your promoters. You know for a fact you're going to have to sweep the board. You're going to have to move as fast as possible. Can you fight as fast as humanly possible with everything? If you can, do it. If you can't, don't put yourself into a situation where you are draining the clock. There are 30-minute timers. The reason for 30-minute timers is so people who are going fast can get through more fights and get more points. The 30-minute timer is also there for weaker rosters that need the time to fight, and those are for lower ranked factions. We're talking top 50 and past that, top 100. Okay, you want to be in a top 20 faction, you want to be in a top 30 faction, top 10, anything like that. You need to go fast. You need to get as many points as possible in that time frame. Wasting the clock is not a way to do that. The perk system is an amazing system. I fought it quite a bit when it first came out. I thought it was ridiculous, but that's because I didn't know what I was doing. You have offensive and defensive perks for your faction feud. Showdown, you have offensive and defensive, but defensive is really the only one that matters. Blitz, they're so few and far between, I don't even know what they do anymore. What I normally do first and foremost is I work on the offensive faction feud perk. I max that sucker out as quickly as I possibly can leading into a feud. Now there's sometimes where the month-long events start and you don't have all of the resources to max out your offensive. But what you can do is you can take your offensive up as high as humanly possible and still get to level 3 on your defensive for the MP reduction, which helps. The reason I say go for offensive perks first, we have enough this week, the second week of May right now. So you are able to, if your faction is doing the faction weekly events, you're getting faction feud tokens from there. You get faction feud tokens from the talent up event for the month-long character, and I believe you also get them in the solo points too. They come in a whole lot of different areas, so you do have a possibility of being able to max this out quickly. I say go with it because of the all color moves start with 3 more move points. If you're going into a fight and the other person has balanced, I put that in quotations, out their faction feud, offensive and defensive, you're sitting on a higher standing. You're getting +2 MP along or with them having the reduction. If they didn't do defensive, you're getting +3. You're benefiting off this far more often than what you need to. Power gems being increased is great. The multiply gems creating one more sucks. I think that is the worst nerf that they've ever done in this. This used to be the multiply gems did more damage. Now it's not. I hate it. All color finishers used to be, I believe, 150%. They cut it in half. The gem generation by 3 is nice. It balances out with all color moves, which I'll explain here in a minute why there's a balance. All color submissions do 50% more. This used to be 100, now it's not. Plus additional submission turns. So this used to make a lot of cards very broken, and now it's just balanced out. I understand why they did it. I'm not happy about it. I just understand it. Now, when it comes to the defensive perks, level 3 is where you get your MP reduction. Level 8, which is the max, you get -2. So that balances out here, which gives +1. So you always want to balance these out. You want to go with your max offense first to counter out their defensive. This is going to help you with trainers and everything else, and I could go into further detail about all the numbers and how all this generates and everything else, but that is something that I need to have serious planning for and be able to articulate exactly how I wanted it to come across. Right now I just don't. It also helps with your health steal. All of these little side branches, they help out. This is where I can show it off. Okay, so decrease all color generation from opponents' moves by 2, increases all moves by 3. So you're getting an additional gem here. If you go to balance these out and you're going 50-50 on each one, you're ultimately just staying at a neutral environment. If you max out offensive first and then go in defensive, you're giving yourself an edge. Technically, you're giving your opponents an edge too, but since the game is you start the turn every single time, you are benefiting. You are going to have it. They're fighting their own AI battle. Sometimes they mess up. They'll get punished on their own if there's a punishment. You will get punished if you deserve the punishment. Either way, perk system is where you want to go. You want to go offensive, then defensive. If you choose to go defensive first, that's your prerogative. But I welcome you to go and try the offensive first. Okay? Okay, so I know that was a really abrupt cut, but the footage I had, I didn't want to use it. The audio was way too loud. So I just basically wanted to end off this video showing you how I plan on running Seamus, Tech Sammy, and Powerhouse Sammy. That way, even if you don't have the cards, you can still kind of see where my thought process goes with them. That was a mistake. Kind of wish I hadn't done that, but normally you want to try and get the countdowns off twice. That was just very poor planning on my part. But this also shows what happens if you have, a mistake like I just had. So, unfortunately, I can't hear the audio in my headset right now, so I'm really hoping this pans out. But this actually opens up for a very fun way of making up for our mistake. Especially with those multipliers still being out. So now, we're basically going to outright destroy this taker. Solely because of everything that is about to transpire. So one thing to keep in mind is always on your final turn with pin bar can't move, always make the wild card just in case, because you never know what. You never know what'll happen in the process of all that. So there, that all pops, dropping him down to almost 3. And I'm gonna hit there and finish it off. Usually this goes turn 1. It's not really that big. It doesn't normally take this long, but we're looking at almost 10 million there. 9 million, you're right. Alright, so that was Seamus. We're going to go on to Tech Sammy now. Okay, now we're on to Tech Sammy. Now, my Tech Sammy belt is not set up ideally the way I want it done. It does have a 200% green move damage increase, but it's on a padded metal, and I don't want that. I'd rather have a takedown 2. I'd rather have a double set of takedown 2s with 200% increased green move damage, and I want to say it's 30-35% gem damage, all gem damage. But I also put the Sheik plate on him, and that's where we're really going to let this sucker. Excuse me. Okay, so how this is going to go in Feud is I really want to showcase exactly how hard Sammy can hit. Let's see if I did that right. I did not do that right. I need one more. So we're at 5 million health already there, so we're just going to hit this one more time. This is just for fun. When I'm in actual feud mode, this is going to go completely different. But this is just to really just have fun. That's all it really is. I can't stress that enough. This is all for fun. It's 8. So we're at 6 million there again. I'm just going to hit it again. I'm just going to keep siphoning. I am stretching out the clock just to stretch out the clock. So here, we're going to hit this one more time. Hit OK. See, if you can do this right without messing up, we're at 8.4 million damage. That is because of that Sheik plate. And that's Sammy. And that's usually what you're going to see against the AI is they're going to go submission into that green move. I don't know how well they do on the finisher with it, but either way, that's the reason why you need to avoid Tech Sammy if you don't have submission or a one-shot kill. On to Powerhouse Sammy. Alright, so if Tech Sammy didn't whet your appetite enough, we're about to do it. This is my favorite card. It is my most broken card. And it is one of the main reasons why I feel like Scope Light did well for Samson. That's Drip Plate being on here. It just breaks him. It breaks him on so many levels. And that's your turn 1 win. Oh, does he kick out? Oh, he actually kicked out. That is amazing. Normally people do not kick out. That is fantastic. I get to continue going. I love when this happens. Because really all it comes down to is I just get to stomp him just a little bit more. It's not going to show me the actual number, is it? Oh, 20 minutes. This is Drip Plate being at its drippiest and its finest. And now it is definitely done. So, if you made it to the end of the video and you like these, you know what? Never mind, I'm not going to cut it off there. I want to do one more video. I want to, or not one more video, I want to do one more fight. We're going to go on to Trick Ray. I'm going to show you the reason why I am doing exactly what I'm doing in Feud. Alright, final video, or final fight's going to be with Trick Ray. So, I showed you exactly why Showboat Seamus, Tech Sammy, and Powerhouse Sammy are my aces. This is the reason why I should have just hit the finisher, but I don't care. He's going to blow that up, yep. This is the reason why he's a defensive person, because he's got to be pinned. He has to be pinned for any of this to make sense. He's going to take damage if you do not have a large amount of HP. I don't recommend using him nearly as much, but if he is your only option, he is not a bad option. So the reason why I hit the green move first instead of going straight for finisher is because of this right here. You notice that the finisher wasn't completely charged by that point, so I just wanted that blue match to ensure that it gets filled. So now we're going to hit that one more time. Now we'll go on to finisher because there's no reason for this fight to continue. It's already done. Bam. There you go. And that is Trick Ray for you. Now, if out of the 4, there is one of the cards that you want to see the move breakdown, the coach or the trainer breakdown, and the belt, by all means, comment down below why you want to look at them. I personally feel seeing videos like this, not the theory crafting ones, but ones that are around what people actually do with these cards, is a great way to give you knowledge. So that way when you go into a feud, you already know, hey, these guys are going to be built this way, because a lot of the cards aren't built different. They all build them the same way. It's just whether or not they're as powerful as each other based off trainers and metals. So knowing all of that, you can be able to coordinate your team, your cards, your aces around every single one, and you know already going in, hey, this is what I'm going to fight against, this is where I need to go. Pre-planning. Treat it like chess. Think 5 moves ahead and just stay on the ball. So, if you made it to the end of the video and you liked all of it, again, comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications when I post new stuff. I'm going to be trying to do some fun videos here soon with Zombie Taker and a couple of other cards that I believe people slept on, and just for funsies. You know, the game is a super serious game. Life is super serious. If you can't find fun in some things, what is the point of doing it? And I love this game, and I want to continue to see it be successful. So, yeah, that's the end. You all enjoy the rest of your day.